All right, let's go again. Here we go. Make it a beat. And I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going for it. All right, so you may see me move away, but I'm just going to be playing chords. So I'm going to pick a tempo. I'm going to pick 135 because I feel like it. Let's do it. And I'm just going to grab some chords from here because I don't feel like doing it. I'm showing you guys that, to be honest, you can do whatever you want. Like, there's no answers to this. I'm not doing anything super special. I'm just looking at things that I thought could sound cool. Those are a little too singer-songwriter for me. I do like this little blessed progression here. That one's cool. It's just a little too on the nose for me. Longing, that sounds dope. The key of C is a little boring. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn that click off. The key of C is a little boring for me, but it's a great starting place because I can jam in it super easy. So take those chords, I'm going to stretch them out to like 8 bars just so I have time to listen, really listen to the chords. It's a little long for me, let's go forwards. Alright, now some music theory stuff just because I think it's a little interesting. Let me just lower the mic a little bit. I'm looking at these notes and the voicings are cool, but I'm going to mess with them a little bit. I'm just going to see how far we can take these things. So I'm literally just moving things around in octaves until I hear something I like. Ooh, that's cool. That's cool. That's pretty dope, actually. These are big, big voicings. Now, the next thing is they're a little loud for my taste. Love that. Gonna loop that twice. Now I'm in the key of C, so I'm gonna play around with the melody a little bit. I'm gonna write everything in the piano. I pitch that down so I can hear my melody. You tell me I'm alone. These are a little low. So what if I put them like really high? And then up high. And then I don't like how that one sounds. There's some trouble. Nice. So we got like this little ballad thing going, which is not what I was expecting. I was expecting I was gonna make something really dark and creepy. 2, 3, 4. Oh. 2, 3, 4. So now we have this little thing going, this little ditty. And not all of it's perfect. For example, down here we have this chord here, this E minor, with a G right here. Now this G is the minor third. It's the third in the chord. It sounds a little funky up there, but it's a nice little voicing. And then we have this little piece here where I wanted to do a little, almost like a hammer on a guitar. I don't know what they're called, but They're found all over pop music. Okay, so we have this little thing going, and I actually really like it. But you have to remember that like beats can take you a million different ways. I don't know where this is going to go. So first thing I'm now going to do is I'm going to arrange this out. I don't want this to be a sad piano ballad. Like, that's not my goal. So now I'm actually taking it back. We're upping the tempo. 3, 4, 1. We're also in C major. I don't like playing in C major. I actually really like B flat. So I'm going to go down 2 semitones to the B flat. And now my scale goes from the C major scale to B flat major. Too low now. And this does not have to be perfect. We're just arranging things out. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the chords into Omnisphere. So I'm going to delete my melody. And now I have like a little bass sound in there right now, which I do not need. So there are my chords. They're nothing like, remember, nothing has to be special to start. And Omnisphere is a great plugin. It has a lot going for it. And I'm just going to pick some choir sounds because I love choir sounds. And I think it sounds really cool like that. And those samples are, you know, just so lush, right? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a little trick here. I'm going to quantize this. And I'm going to do a little Q flam. And the Q flam just strums the notes essentially. It's like the strum tool in FL, but I don't really like FL. Okay, cool. Chords are sounding cool. I'm gonna put a nice little reverb on there. I'm gonna change the reverb though. I'm gonna change it probably to the vintage verb because I like it, and then we'll do like a cool, like huge one. Up it on a bus. I always put my reverbs on a bus and I de-ess them. I just do that to eliminate some of the harshness from the reverb, if there is any. And then I also do it just to give it some space. Cool. So remember, there are no rules to this. I know this sounds a little preachy, a little gospel-y, and a little cheesy, in fact. But I have no doubts that this will become a cool beat because I'm trusting the process. So now I'm just gonna stack another Omnisphere. Why not? I had it open. You don't want to be too precious about this shit, because if you're too precious about something, I mean, like, nothing's gonna sound right. Expand plugin. I like Expand too because the leads on it are actually really like simple. I like simple leads. I don't like my leads being way too I don't want my lead to be like super complicated in its waveform or just in its sound design. I like soft sine things. I like monophonic things. That's already a cool sound, but oh god, look, they make it so small you can't see anything. Can I make the UI bigger in this? Surely there's a way. I guess we squint today. Let's go. Jeez, I can't see any soft leads. Okay, let's find one. Too soft. So I'm just gonna compress it a little bit, and you want to use your ears when you're compressing. You don't want to use your eyes as much as your ears. Now it can help you. I want to be compressing in this 5 to 7 dB range, just because I don't want it to be super, super tough and like over compressed. But I also want this thing to cut through the mix a little bit, so I'm gonna mess with the input gain a little bit. So Now I'm closing my eyes and I'm listening. It's harsh in a lot of areas, so I'm going to try a different model compressor. That one sounds cool. And listen, I have all the the UAD compressors and all like the fab filter stuff. I have that all, but I still believe that this thing is the best compressor because it just has so many models. It's so quick for me, and it's what works for me. So my advice here is use just what works for you. I went through that same thing where I would just like buy plugins to make sure that I had them or whatever. But I always ended up coming back to the same ones. This Logic compressor is nothing to play around. Like, it's not a slump. It's something that's actually really cool. It's a little hard on the high end. Maybe mess with the release. Maybe it doesn't need the gain here. To spread that sound out a little bit, and I know I have like a ROM right here. ROM is a plugin by Native Instruments that's really good, and I'm just gonna wash it. But I'm noticing that it's like in the middle of the mix, it's getting really crazy. So I'm just gonna go put a big old filter right here into the middle, and I'm gonna process it into the middle just so it spreads out on the sides of the speakers, and you have a good stereo field. And the vocal can still sit. Maybe let's lay that piano. Okay, we have like the cinematic thing here. And now this is what I mean by don't be too precious about it. I'm immediately gonna just resample it. So say goodbye to my VSTs, just gonna mute those for a bit. Now we have access to a waveform. And a waveform, I'm just gonna trim the end there. A waveform is a lot more manipulable, like you can manipulate it in a different way. Because now I can see everything. And now here's where I would use my sound design. As awesome as it is to use your ears for everything, let me tell you something, like using your eyes for this is just as important. So I'm thinking about all the different options I have here. I haven't even gotten to drums ideas for the song yet. I just jammed and I got this Stranger Things ass melody. So I'm going to take a look at my EQ curve. I'm going to just take some of that high, low end out just because I don't want it there really. And I'm noticing it's not looping right, which is awesome for me because that is an excuse to chop things up, maybe to get rid of some of the dirt, get rid of some of the extra grease we don't need. You know what I mean? So I chopped that wrong, but I'm going to chop it correctly. Maybe we take out that second half of the melody, maybe we loop this. Let's find out. Or maybe we have both running. And we pan a little bit to the right. We have this little cool thing going now. So I'm actually going to just consolidate that into a new clip. And now I'm going to do some heavier compression just because I want things to pop. And my favorite compressor to make things pop is a classic. It's the LA2A Silver. I love the LA2A Silver. It's just so pretty sounding. It's just a classic sound because that, and I want to talk about this a little bit before we move on. The reason that we gravitate towards a certain sound is just because of what the people of yesteryear would do. I don't truly believe that all this different equipment and all these clones are worse than each other. They're just different. So like, for instance, for me, I don't have a U87 mic. I have the U87 clone that Warm Audio does. And I bought a whole bunch of mics and I decided which ones I wanted to use or which ones I don't. I'm using an SM7B. I used that for a long time. Before that, I had an AT4040 by Audio-Technica. All of them had a different sound. The only mic that I truly haven't loved is that AT4040. I really don't like it compared to these mics. But yeah, I don't be too caught up in getting everything name brand. Don't be too caught up in that because at the end of the day, if it sounds good, it sounds good. I don't really plan to buy a lot of outboard gear. Like I don't really know if I want an LA2A Silverface. I don't really know if I want one. I love this plugin, and this plugin makes everything sound so good. And I'll show you, like, I'll play around with it a little bit, drive it a little bit, see where the compression hits really hard. Never mind time stretching or anything yet, so I'm actually going to take this. Now that it's compressed a little bit, we can play with the signal a little bit. The other thing you have to think about when you're sampling is how different effects actually just change the sound of everything. So the compression now that I've time stretched this thing out really far is going to be a lot different than if I had just kept everything the same. So let's hear this now. I love the little bitey artifacts. I don't need this EQ doing the same thing, so I'm actually going to take this pass filter off, take out some of the higher mids, and now I'm going to pitch down. And I have two ways of pitching down in Logic that I prefer. I could transpose in here, or I could varispeed. Varispeed changes your tempo, which is not a big deal for me, because a lot of the vibe of murdockaltas and things like that, the group I'm part of, comes from that varispeed button. But let's see what this sounds like if I take it down 4 semitones. So 4 semitones down from B flat major is now we're at an F sharp. I don't like F sharp. We're going to go down one more to F. Now we're cooking with fire. I like that a lot. What if I add a varispeed on top of that? It's really slow, dude, until you hear it with the metronome. I'm going to bust this out to some reverb now because I'm not stingy with reverb. Grab a delay. I don't really like the Echo Boy for this kind of thing. I would rather have a mangler, so I'm going to grab something that can really mess with things. So I'll grab the Valhalla delay. As much as the Echo Boy can like really mess with things, I like instant gratification. So oftentimes, oh, what's this? A looper? I'll try this. It's not doing really what I want it to do. In fact, it's kind of making it sound way too muddy for no reason. So we're going to grab a faster delay. Nice. In fact, what if I now went and grabbed a little altar boy and I pitched this delay? I don't know, I don't do this. I could also pitch this up a perfect fifth to create like a chord kind of thing. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Now here's where the fun part comes in. Now that I have a sample, I don't have the waveform that I once had. Or I don't have the MIDI acting the same way. So now all those changes I made are set in stone. And we're in a completely different place now. So what I'm going to do is just throw on my favorite bass. It's a classic bass. It's one everybody uses all the time, and I use it in pretty much every song. And my bass lines are also rather simple. I just take out the chords. Here are the root notes. I don't like that. There we go. Down to an F major. I'm seeing like an R&B kind of vibe on this thing. I'm seeing kind of a twinkly lights. I'm really enjoying this. So I'm gonna think about it. Like I know I have two halves of this sample. Maybe if I duplicate that and just to switch it up and the bass line goes back. I'm just trying stuff. There's no answers. I'm going to save this though. fact, what if I stretch? Oh yeah, that's awesome. I'm feeling some like actual keys on this. Maybe like maybe even like. Oh, that's really cool. It's like Mike Deanish. So I'm in the key of F. I'm gonna tap away. I'm gonna be away for a second just while I think of some keys. All right. So I'm gonna be over here. You'll hear the beat. You'll hear me talk, but. So that's cool. 2, 3, 4. I don't know what it's like, really consistent and it's all diatonic, but still let's like those little bells. Let's soften up a lot of these. Let's see. I don't like that. It's like a really popular thing to do in soul music, but I didn't like it here. And we didn't hear the bass down here. So here's where I get actually a little bit more picky. We're gonna run this through some ROM because, and this is the default ROM. It's not even like, that's just the default preset. I'm not sweet with this. You don't let it. I don't believe in excessive. Oh goodness, I don't believe in excessive tweaking. It's the engineer's job at the end of the day. So now we have this little. Let's check. Like we're at 150 BPM. That's fast, but it feels so slow. I'm digging it. So here's how I do my drums. It's gonna be a little more difficult with the mic there, but I do drums in Machine. I use the same drums and a lot of stuff. Like depends on what era I'm in, you know. I already know what hi-hat's going in, and I'm just gonna record it in because the drums are already in my head, and that's a piece of advice. Make the beat in your head before you make it on paper. Oh, goodness me. I got an email. I shall check the email. Good. Okay. Yeah, make the beat in your head before you do it. And it takes a lot of time to get there. But once you're there, yeah, like, you can knock out beats fast. You don't have to think about things. And that's why I'm like, it's casual for me. But at the end of the day, that just comes with practice. So let's record this in 1, 2, 3, 4. So hi-hat's a little quiet. Let's change this hi-hat's life. It also has way too much low end in it, but we can just change that with a high-pass filter. Achilles heel in life has always been my drums, but in the recent days, I've gotten them a little bit better. Patterns were never my problem. I just couldn't get the shit to hit, and I really, I blamed the DAW for so many years where I was just like, man, FL, it just like it hits, but I don't like FL. And plus, when I started making beats, there was no Mac version of FL, so I made do with what I had. So yeah. But a big part of my sound is when I export these drums from Machine. I don't know, Machine has a different sound engine in it than Logic. Doesn't mean it makes it sound better, but it makes it sound suited to what I like. Plus, I always export at low volume. I always start with a lower volume because I think drums can sound really stupid when they're really loud like this and harsh. Like this hi-hat sounds stupid. So, and look at that. There's a big low end spike in it. So, let's fix that. That little 2K range is kind of mad me a little bit. The pitch may be terrible as well. I may have picked the wrong hi-hat. Let's try 2 seconds. Let's try higher. That's cool. What if it also goes through a little bit of reverb? Maybe we bring that delay in. Yeah. Cool. Now I'm gonna crush this drum bus. So this is the drum bus. It's just an EQ into a Neve into, I don't remember. I have it going into a Pultec. Neve into Pultec into LA2A. And I have it going into an LA2, actually not an LA2A. Again, just tools at the job. This isn't anything special. They're just tools. So here we go. I like the kicks to have not a round bottom end, but a really like a hard attack, almost to the point where it sounds like, what are those, like hard style kicks, boom boom boom. I like my kicks to do that, but I don't want them to sound so distorted in the same way. So I rely a lot on parallel compression, essentially, to bring up the low end in the kick. And it's just, it's the low end theory. It's what Bob Power really pioneered in the 90s with Tribe and all those 90s hip-hop records. It's the basis of a lot of how we mix today. But if you don't know who Bob Power is, go look him up, because he's and while you're at it, check out what else should you check out? Pensado's Place, which is a great resource. It's interviews with all the greatest engineers in any genre. Dave Pensado is a great engineer himself, and he just runs that podcast. He's a great resource for learning in a more applicable way, because these engineers in these interviews do not skimp their words. They're not there to be teaching beginners in the same way that a beginner's course for audio engineering would be. But I recommend listening to them, because as you get used to the jargon and as you get used to like the swift talk and like how fast they are with everything, and how a lot of it is instinct and taste, I think it's a great little tool. So I recommend like listening to Pensado's Place, finding out about your influences. So yeah. Snare's not doing enough for me, so I'm gonna crush it. I like the first part of my hi-hat loop, but not the second. If you remember, we started like this. second because I was vibing, but I'm just gonna pick something. Sure, that's cool. I'll stop the video here just because this is a first go at it. I'll post this on YouTube, just see how people think about it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you have questions about what that is, we can get into arranging and things next week. But I think that's just a great start to see how like the process changes things. We'll get into something actually a little cooler. Maybe we'll make something specific, that kind of deal. All right, thanks guys. Enjoy.